My name's Adam, and welcome to episode 3. We are still in Forest of the Fallen Giants, and we've got one more boss to fight, which is the Pursuer, which we already fought, but we're going to fight him now in his regular arena. So let's head down here, and there's one more door that we can unlock with the soldier key. Now that we've gone through this area that we're expected to have at least one boss under our belt, some of the enemies get a little harder. Nothing too hard, but they do take a little more hits, especially if we were with our initial starting weapon. So we've got the fog wall just down there, and you can see just right here, there's ballistas. This is where we're going to fight the Pursuer. There's a way to cheese him with the ballistas. The devs meant you to do it. I've never learned it. With the Pursuer, we fight this boss as a mini-boss several times. So, my advice is just to learn how to fight him. Like, it's not that big of a deal to use the ballista, because the next 6 or 7 times we fight him, we're not going to be using the ballista. Just learn how to fight him. Let's let him spawn in. He's got that bird that carries him around. I don't know how important that is, because he can technically float. So, I mean, if you can float, there's no real reason why he couldn't just float over himself. But he's got the bird. And then you'd think that would damage his sword, because that plunged like right into a rock floor. But what would I know? I'm Madeline. I'm an armorer. I'm not a weaponsmith. So yeah, there's a way to time this so you could run over and activate the ballista and kill him in 2 shots. We're not going to mess with that. We're just going to fight him the standard way of he has a shield. We dodge to the shield side. If you ever get hit by that sword, it's a grab attack, and it'll give him a power-up. He becomes a tougher enemy to fight after that. Not like super tough, but he is tougher. He will have some magical abilities after he powers up by grabbing you with that sword. The sword does a fair amount of damage. But once again, just by dodging to the shield side, we pretty much always dodge that grab attack. And then sometimes when you fight the Pursuer, it'll already have the power up when it spawns in. Like it already got you with the grab attack with the blue sword. Ideally, it does a charge. Okay, we can heal. So yeah, because we're using life gems, we had to dodge multiple attacks as opposed to just one attack, which would be standard with the Nestus Flask. But it happens. You'll run out. Alright, and we got him. And that's going to clear out all the bosses available to us in this area. We get a new item, the Ring of Blades, which is a damage buff. So we're probably going to choose to take off the Stone Ring, which staggers some enemies, and put on the Ring of Blade, which does damage to all enemies. We've got another giant growing out of a tree. Alas, nothing happens. That means it's a late game area that we can access. And let's head over to this nest. So if we rest at this nest, it'll transport us to a new area. Dark Souls Remastered did this too. However, I'd just like to point out that Dark Souls 2 came out in 2014. Dark Souls Remastered came out in 2018. So who really ripped off who? That's my question. And now we're here. The sun went down, and we are in the Lost Bastille. We get the Dull Ember, which we will give to a blacksmith we haven't met yet. And we get a human effigy. We've got the bonfire. We're just going to rest at the bonfire. We're not going to explore the Lost Bastille quite yet. We are going to come back. It's not an option in our area. We do need to go through it, but we're just not going to do it yet. There's one more item I want to get back where we were just at. And then we'll go back and level up. And because we just need to grab one item and then duck out, we're not going to fight anybody we don't need to. Yeah. For fog gates, in Dark Souls 2, you don't have immediate iframes when you access the gate. So you do need to clear enemies if you're trying to make your way to a boss. But we're not doing that, so it's not a big deal. We just need to drop down here, grab this sword, which is a very good sword. It's a sword that you can use for the end game. And that's actually what we are going to use for the rest of the game, once we level up a bit and we're able to use it. The way weapons work is typically the slower a weapon is, the more damage it does, and the more it staggers. For small enemies, that's actually really useful because you can kill them in one shot, or you can strike them once, you can stagger them, and then you can strike them again while your enemy attack recharges. But if you have a very slow attack for bosses, what happens a lot is you get the attack in, you're not going to stagger the boss, and then you have to eat the boss's attack. So for games like this, specifically for this game, but for Souls games in general, it's better to have a slightly faster attack and then So we can't use this weapon yet. We don't have enough strength. We don't have enough dex. But yeah, you get your attack in, and then you have enough time to roll out of the way to damage or to avoid the boss's attack. In times past, I've used 2 weapons, 1 weapon for all the regular enemies, and then 1 weapon for the boss. These days, I tend just to use the boss weapon. So, let's see if we have any souls to consume. We do. And we are going to do a whole bunch of leveling up now. Excuse me.
Bearer of the seek, lest this.
And once again, we are just upgrading vigor and adaptability. Well, I want to use that Drangleic sword. So we're going to start putting into strength and dex also. We will need 20 dex and 18 strength to use the Drangleic sword two-handed. But we're not going to do it all right away. We're going to give it 1 more boss worth of level ups. So, we dumped it all into vigor and adaptability. And really for adaptability, we're pretty much to where we need it for the entire game. Let's see if we can upgrade our fire longsword 1 more time, just to get to +4 for the next area, because we are going to be using it for the next area. Okay, let's get it to +4.
I'll be around if you make it back.
I will, because I'm Moutlin. I live over there. I don't know if you know that. Don't go in that shop. There's a dead body in there.
You?
And let's buy some life gems.
Thank you kindly.
Now that we've, for the most part, cleared out Forest of the Fallen Giants, we are going to head to the second starting area, the harder of the two, Heide's Tower of Flame. But now we're significantly higher in level, and we have a much better weapon. So it's going to be much easier for us to go through this area. So we'll head through these tunnels, and we'll make our way over there. Yeah, when I started playing this game, I was so bad, I was despawning pretty much half the enemies in Forest of the Fallen Giants. I killed them enough that they just stopped spawning in. Some people say that's the devs' way of acknowledging they made the game too hard. Some people say that it just makes it easier for people who want to run through an area a bunch of times. In my mind, if you're good, you run through the area once, maybe twice, 3 times at most. So despawning enemies was 100% meant to make an area easier for people who are struggling with it. And that does come into play later in the game. The problem is you can't level up your souls once they despawn. I mean, you can't level up with the souls once they despawn the enemy. So it's a mixed bag. So here we are. I like this area. Some people think this area is overrated. It's very pretty. You've got these guys right here. They don't aggro yet. And then you've got the old knights down there. But very pretty area. Not very difficult, though. Well, it's difficult if you come here first. I will say that. But if you come here after Forest of the Fallen Giants, not difficult at all. Shield enemy. Move to the shield side. Don't even worry about him. You can activate this bonfire, but we're not going to rest. So there's 2 bosses in this area. We've got the Dragon Rider over there. Let's equip our binoculars. Let's find the binoculars. Where are they? I know I picked them up. go back. I don't know where the binoculars went. There they are. There they are. So you can see him over there. We got Dragon Rider. Once we fight that boss and kill him, these Heide Knights right here in this part of the level will aggro. And these guys are actually pretty tough for this point in the game. We're just going to leave them be. There's no need to fight them right now. I don't recommend you fight them. They don't give, like, great benefits or great amounts of experience. So there's no need to really fight them. Just let them sit there. At a certain point in the level, they will aggro no matter what. And then just over there, behind that drawbridge, is another boss that we can fight. Now, once we kill that enemy, a little lever will appear, and there's two of these here at Heide Star Flame. If we pull down on this, it'll actually increase the size of the arena for Dragon Rider. And then once we've pulled both of them, the other one's over there will be no opportunity for us to roll off, or it becomes very, very difficult for us to roll off. Now, some people will cheese Dragon Rider because if none of the levers have been activated, it's very easy to get him to fall off into the ocean. But he's an easy enough boss that there's no point in learning the cheese. Just kill the boss. So these guys aggro both at the same time. It's best if you can get them to attack at the same time. That way there's no overlapping attacks when we move in. And here's the second lever to pull to make Dragon Rider's arena full size. So, we have a chest over here. This is the chest that has the ring of binding. If you're dying a lot, that ring right there, and we're going to kill this guy to get the ring, it will cap how much health you lose at 25%. Really, I recommend for that Heide Knight, just get out of that balcony. He'll knock you off. Now, these enemies have very little indication they're going to attack. It's best if you can just run in, do a quick attack, and run out. And a lot of times you can stagger. Alright, Ring of Binding. We're not going to use it because we're not dying that much. And then there's no benefit to this ring unless you die. So let's head in here and let's fight the boss. Dragon Rider. Very easy boss to fight. Probably, I want to say, easier than the last giant. Yeah, with this boss, since you can come to either starting area first and very realistically fight either boss first, they made them very easy. Both of them very easy. That way, it's truly player's choice what you wish to fight. And then fighting this boss is faster because you can just run by all the enemies. Alright, we got him. Now, once we've killed Dragon Rider, those Heide Knights will aggro. In fact, we'll probably be able to see them just from over here. So you see that guy? He's aggroed. The one over there, he's aggroed. We don't necessarily need to fight them all, but they are aggroed. We got the bonfire. And we got this lady.
Are you from these parts?
We don't like her. She's mean.
My
We're going to
father
resolve
was
her quest line
but
pretty quickly.
no need for miracles.
But let's go back and level up. Sorry, I'm scared of heights, even in video games.
Seek.
And let's start working towards strength and dex to use our weapon for the rest of the game. It doesn't really matter what order we go in. We can't use the weapon two-handed until we have 20 dex and 18 strength.
Thank you kindly.
Let's head back over to Heide's Tower of Flame and clear out that area. We got one more boss to fight. Now that we work our way back through it and all the Heide Knights are activated, this becomes a much more difficult area. Some people will fight the other boss first and then fight Dragon Rider second. Some people will just come back to the area at a later point in time. But yeah, we're just going to want to duck in, stagger, duck out. Sure he didn't drop anything. Does not appear he dropped anything. So there was a Heide Knight here. It went over there. Don't ask me why. But it will aggro if we move too far into this arena. we want to fight this guy first. Well, no, maybe we'll just fight the Heide Knight first. Okay. At this point in the area, everything aggroes no matter what. So the Heide Knight right there will aggro no matter what. The Heide Knight up there will aggro no matter what. And obviously the old knights. They aggro anyway. Like, they aggro regardless. So let's get this guy, and then we got 2 more enemies to fight. And just to warn you, the Heide Knight at the top of that stairs, at the top of those stairs, is the toughest enemy in this area. Tougher than either boss, tougher than any combination of just 2 enemies. If you ever see a Heide Knight with a spear compared to a sword, because the ones we've been fighting right now have a sword. If you ever see one with the spear, very different animal. Very different animal. Much tougher. So we're going to have 100% health before we fight him. 97% health before we fight him. And he has this triple combo attack right there that if you can roll through it, you can get a backstab on him. Now that backstab didn't do a ton of damage. We gotta do that like 4 times to kill him. But that's the easiest way to fight him. Bait out an attack. Roll through. Get in the backstab. We're just gonna be able to kill him with 1 shot now. So very easy, but a lot of times it goes down much harder than that, to where I'm using several life gems. Now we've got this wyvern over here, and we need to run our butts across this bridge. Because if he activates his flame attack before we make it there, we very easily can be knocked off into the water. So while I fight this guy, I just want to talk about the difference between dragons and wyverns. A dragon has 4 legs in addition to wings. A wyvern has 2 legs and wings. And those wings can either function as a second set of legs or not. It doesn't matter. The point is that this is not a dragon. This is a wyvern. And that's going to be important. I mean, not only for the rest of your life, but for this area that is coming up right now. And then for this area, you may think, let me just run my butt all the way over here, all the way up there, all the way down here, all the way over here, and then fight the wyvern and let the fire attacks kill all the enemies. Well, the fire attacks will kill you fairly fast. They will not kill the enemies very fast. So you do need to clear the area before you fight the wyvern, before you pull the lever, before you drop the drawbridge. Now we're in the Cathedral of Blue. Very short area, just 1 boss. Now, before we go through this fog wall, there's something that's very important to understand. Look me in the eye. Dark Souls Remastered came out in 2018. Dark Souls 2 came out in 2014. So who copied who? That's the real question. And as we head through this fog wall, you'll understand why. Now we've got the old Dragon Slayer. And that's the only name that he needs to be referred to as. Because there is a boss in Dark Souls Remastered that is very similar to him. And he fights with Smo. And I will give Dark Souls Remastered props that Smo strictly an invention of theirs. But Dark Souls 2, oops, thought I had time to heal, I didn't. So now we need to dodge an attack, ideally a lunge attack. Let's try to bait out a lunge attack, and he's not going to do it. That's alright. So yeah, in Dark Souls Remastered, the old Dragon Slayer, under a different name, which I will not mention, fights Smo in an arena fairly similar to this, with some pillars that can be knocked down. But since Dark Souls 2 came out first, we can credit Yui Tanimura with the creation of this boss. And yeah, he is more famous from Dark Souls Remastered. I will accept that, but that doesn't mean he came from Dark Souls Remastered. And honestly, I would say this fight is more memorable than the ONS fight in Dark Souls Remastered. And I would say that the Heide's Tower of Flame is a better area than Anor Londo. Now that's just my opinion, albeit I think you'll find among most Souls players that that is the consensus. And his moveset is better in Dark Souls 2 as well. Alright, we got him. He's down. Old Dragon Slayer down. And we get the old Dragon Slayer soul and the old Leo ring, which is the only ring that's associated with the old Dragon Slayer. So we've got this dude. He won't talk to us. He will let us into a covenant that's a PvP covenant, which there's no point in doing any of those, because Dark Souls 2 is 10 plus years old. PvP is all dried up. But we would need to use an item to help someone who's been invaded and defeat the invader, to get a consumable, to talk to him, to join his covenant. So we're not going to do that. And there's no point in killing him. The weapon he drops is trash anyway. So let's go down here. Let's rest at the bonfire, and let's head back to Majula and level up. And so when I was talking before about the Wyvern, a lot of people would think that the old Dragon Slayer would want to go out and kill the Wyvern. Now, I would argue that the old Dragon Slayer doesn't care at all, because he's a Dragon Slayer. He is not a Wyvern Slayer. And Dragon Rider isn't going to ride the Wyvern, because he's not a Wyvern Rider. He is a Dragon Rider. So by the devs putting a Wyvern out there, it makes complete lore sense. Had they put a dragon out there, it would make no sense and that'd be dumb. But they're not dumb. Their IQ 105 is just that we're IQ 106. Let's get up to 20 dex. And now we just need 3 more strength. And we can use our endgame weapon. Leave. Okay. Buy some souls. And let's see where we're at time-wise. 35 minutes. We're just going to stop it there, make this a short episode. So far, we have cleared out Forest of the Fallen Giants, we've cleared out the Heide's Tower of Flame, and we went over to Cathedral of Blue. Next episode, we are heading back to Things Betwixt to clear out that area now that we have a fragrant branch of yore to get rid of the petrified human that stands in our way. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.